So here's the project for the last 4 or 5 days. It's kind of coming together. We're going to make a quick video while it's still kind of apart before it gets totally put back together. But I've been trying to pull it apart and clean every little inch of it, but it's still hard to get in everywhere. This thing had no motor parts in it when I got it, so I ended up getting it all rebuilt, and it's working good now. But this is the turntable motor, where it spins around. This is the wheel it presses against. There's just a rubber tire that pushes against it, and you can see how it's all black from the rubber tires slipping and overheating and even disintegrating and just getting the rubber all over the ring. It's pretty common. And then also these wires, when I got it, were all kind of hanging down, and they can get caught in the tire and get ripped out. Several of these wires had to be fixed and replaced, and I still got to put this harness up because it could get caught one way or another. Over here, these are the motor driver boards. That's the power supply. It's 90 volts, I believe, at 10 amps. So it's pretty serious switching power supply. And then those are the two FET motor driver boards. They are different, so if you ever have one of these, they look identical, but they are not identical. You have to use one for the turn motor and one for the bank motor. And if you look at the manual, you'll see the difference. But one's a -1 part number and the other one's a normal one. But they're not interchangeable, believe it or not. They will work, but they won't run at the right speeds, and will probably fail if you put them in wrong. And then, of course, these lamps are pretty tough to get. They're little 9-watt CFLs that are white when off, but light up kind of UV like a blue. They're kind of a black light. And I've been looking everywhere, and I finally found some available, but most of the places I found wanted to sell them in lots of 50 for about 15 bucks each, so they're hard to get if you want to keep original. Thankfully, these are just number 85 lamps, so they're easy to get, but cool effect. And I'm waiting on some lamps to get the other one put back together. And of course, there's 7 lights. Every side of this has one of those lights except for the back, since the motor's here. But so I only have 2 of them that work at the moment. I'm waiting for them to get shipped. But and inside here is the power supplies and amplifiers. And then here's the AC bay. If you have one of these machines, you always got to take a look in here to make sure that this is solid. You can see how the wires are ripped out of the transformer. The spot welds that hold this whole panel in fail, and the whole transformer assembly will fall out of the game. That's happened before in this one. That's why this is all ripped up. The wires for the fan were ripped out. It must have happened a long time ago, probably a few years after it was new, but so somebody put in some wood blocks, bolted them in, and screwed it in. It seems to be solid enough, but you have to be very careful. And then, of course, down in here, everything pivots right here on the center point. And then here's what reads the position of the turntable. But then there's these 3 umbilical wires that spin around the center, and if they spin around a couple too many times, which can happen if this positioner gets flipped accidentally, which can happen when you move it. If it gets wrapped around a couple of times, it'll rip the wires right out of here. So and I had one that had broken wires inside of it, so I had to replace this. But I've put it here in motor test. You can do a self-test. See the disc brake there that stops the jack screw from moving. And it works. Do a regular video once I get this thing up and working all the way, but here's the main board in the back, and that's the drive board which controls the motor driver boards, and then the power supply is behind it. So every little corner of this game there's things crammed in. This board actually has an audio problem right now, but I don't know how much it'll move on its own here. It's got a little bit of play when it banks. I think the rod ends wear out. You see the seatbelt sticking up too. It's hacked from some kind of Chrysler. But actually it works pretty good for this thing, better than the original one, because the original one always got lost behind the seat.
Roger, roger.
So another couple days we'll get this thing going all the way, and then try to get this other one going too. There's a lot of parts here, but these things, there's a lot to go wrong. There's some motor driver boards and power supplies. If you don't replace your motor brushes, this is what happens. Things like to blow up. This one's even more of a work in progress, but we'll get it working. It's got the skirt on it. This one was sitting in a barn since '96, so it's a bit dirty, but it'll actually clean up pretty well.